Hi everyone, imagine this. You're the star of MacGyver and Stargate SG-1, one of the most bankable names in Hollywood. At 63, studios are throwing millions at you, begging for just one more project. And then, without warning, you walk away. No farewell, no big statement, just silence. Fans were shocked. Executives were desperate. And everyone was left asking the same question. Why would Richard Dean Anderson turn his back on fortune, fame, and glory? Tonight, we reveal the real reason he vanished from Hollywood. Richard Dean Anderson was born on a freezing January day in 1950 in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. Just 3 days later, his parents packed up the newborn and crossed into the United States. They settled in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Richard would grow up as the eldest of 4 brothers. His father, Stuart Anderson, wasn't just a school teacher. By day, he taught English and drama, and by night, he played bass in jazz clubs. His mother, Jocelyn, was an artist, painting and sculpting whenever she could. Their house wasn't filled with wealth, but with creativity. Richard spent countless evenings in high school theaters, watching his father rehearse plays. One memory never left him: seeing actors use Twinkies as birthday cake during a rehearsal. That tiny detail convinced him that any job with free Twinkies was worth chasing. His early years, Richard's life revolved around the rink. While many kids experimented with different hobbies, for him it was always hockey. Growing up in Roseville, Minnesota, the sport wasn't just a pastime, it was his passion and identity. He spent countless hours practicing, dreaming of one day wearing an NHL jersey. His dedication paid off, and soon his talent began turning heads. Even Stan Mikita, the legendary Chicago Blackhawks player, praised Richard's natural skill and potential. Scouts started to notice him, and whispers of a professional career gave him and his family real hope for the future. But just as his dream seemed within reach, tragedy struck. At 16, during a hard-fought game, Richard broke his arm in a violent collision. The injury was serious, but he tried to stay optimistic. Then, only 3 weeks later, disaster deepened when he shattered his other arm in another accident. This time, the damage was catastrophic. He spent months in the hospital, his arms held together with pins and plates. Doctors even warned he might never regain full movement. For Richard, the physical pain was secondary to the emotional blow. Hockey had defined him. Losing it felt like losing himself. The hospital stay was crushing, but something unexpected happened. With his body broken and his dreams gone, Richard began paying attention to his father's plays. He joined drama clubs, even performed with casts still on his arms. Acting gave him something to hold on to when everything else had slipped away. That spark would ignite into a fire that never burned out. What started as a small distraction soon became his passion. Each performance gave him strength, purpose, and hope. Though hockey had ended, acting opened a new path, shaping the rest of his life with creativity and resilience. Even while acting pulled him closer, Richard Dean Anderson never lost his hunger for risk. At just 10, he set out to bike from Minneapolis to Duluth, 100 miles, making it halfway before exhaustion forced him back. At 17, he went even bigger, pedaling more than 5,600 miles from Minnesota through Canada to Alaska, riding the last 33 days completely alone. That same year, he survived a brutal snowstorm in Taos, New Mexico, with winds topping 105 miles per hour. He scuba dived, rode motorcycles, built an igloo to survive 3 winter days. Pain never stopped him. By 1976, Richard made his biggest leap yet. He left Ohio University and moved to Los Angeles with nothing but uncertainty and a dream. He did whatever it took to survive, even working odd jobs like handling whales at a marine show just to pay rent. Before that, he had sharpened his skills in New York City's theater scene. Then the big break came. In 1976, he was cast as Dr. Jeff Weber on General Hospital. For 5 years, across 611 episodes, he became part of the most popular daytime drama in America. By the time he left in 1981, producers were taking notice of him. Over the next few years, he appeared in The Facts of Life, Today's FBI, and The Love Boat. These roles weren't accidents. They showed his range and his determination to stay relevant. Still, not everything worked. In the early 80s, he starred in 2 CBS shows, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers and Emerald Point NAS. Both lasted just 1 season before being canceled. For many actors, back-to-back flops would have been the end. But Richard didn't give up. He studied what worked, what didn't, and kept pushing forward. Then came the role that would define him. In 1985, he auditioned for MacGyver. Unlike most actors, he didn't try to play the part with bravado. He showed up in glasses, unpolished, authentic. That honesty impressed the producers. They weren't looking for another action hero with guns blazing. They wanted someone real. Richard landed the role. Though he had no stunt training, he insisted on doing most of his own stunts, 70% of them, in fact. He hated guns in real life, and so did MacGyver. The fit was perfect. From 1985 to 1992, MacGyver aired 139 episodes. It became a global hit. Parents loved that it avoided violence. Kids loved the clever science tricks. The word MacGyver even became a verb. By 1990, Richard was earning $1 million per season, plus producer credits that meant he shared in syndication profits. He had gone from soap actor to international television legend, but the success came at a price. In 1987, while filming a scene, he stepped into a hidden hole. His disc exploded. Pain shot down his leg, yet he kept filming, swallowing painkillers and refusing help for a year and a half. Eventually, he had surgery, but the pain never fully left. By 1991, exhaustion caught up with him. He collapsed on set, his body functioning at only 20%. He begged to quit, but the studio threatened to sue him for $18 million. He was trapped, working through agony to keep the show alive. After MacGyver, many thought his career would fade. Instead, in 1997, he shocked Hollywood by negotiating a radical deal for Stargate SG-1. He demanded a 3-day work week. Fridays through Sundays were off limits. Why? His newborn daughter, Wiley Quinn Anderson. MGM executives thought the request was insane, but his name alone could bring in viewers. They agreed. For 10 seasons, Richard filmed just 3 days a week while earning up to $200,000 per episode. Over time, he earned more than $30 million from the show. Fans loved him as Colonel Jack O'Neill, but few knew the toll. In 2004, a knee injury forced producers to scale back his action scenes. By then, he was also dealing with severe burnout. He downed up to 10 cups of coffee a day, couldn't sleep without pills, and once fell asleep during a live interview. MGM quietly cut his workload and hired assistants to help him manage. Still, his sharp wit and improvised one-liners kept audiences hooked. Through all of this, Richard's personal life was making headlines. In the 80s, he had a relationship with actress Sela Ward. Later, he dated Terry Hatcher and figure skater Katarina Witt. The media attention was relentless, and most relationships ended quickly. Then, in 1996, he met wardrobe stylist April Prose. Unlike his Hollywood romances, this relationship lasted 7 years. In 1998, their daughter Wiley Quinn Anna Rose Anderson was born. Richard was 48. Her birth nearly broke him. She wasn't breathing when she entered the world. Doctors revived her, and Richard collapsed in tears. From that moment, his life changed. He wasn't just an actor anymore. He was a father. When he and April separated in 2003, there was no bitterness. Richard became a full-time single father. He took on every duty: school drop-offs, late-night feedings, and long drives. He said waking at 3 in the morning to check on her was never a burden. During her first year, he cried almost every day, overwhelmed by the love he felt. The man once labeled Hollywood's most desirable bachelor had become a devoted dad. By 2013, Richard had made his decision. At 63, he walked away. No more auditions, no more scripts. He chose silence over stardom. Over the next decade, he turned down more than $23 million in offers. Netflix offered $15 million for a documentary. Disney offered $5 million for Stargate specials. Paramount dangled $3 million for a single MacGyver reboot episode. He didn't even respond. One outlet wrote, "No actor in Hollywood history has turned down more money, more offers, and more fame than Richard Dean Anderson." In 2025, at a fan convention in London, he finally explained why. He called Hollywood a soul-killing machine that no longer cared about people, only money. Fans were stunned. Some cried. This wasn't MacGyver. This wasn't Colonel O'Neill. This was Richard Dean Anderson, finally telling the truth. And now, at 75, Richard Dean Anderson has traded Hollywood lights for peace in Malibu. His $9.5 million home isn't about luxury, it's about sanctuary. He spends his days protecting oceans with the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, supporting youth and cherishing life far from the spotlight. He could have chased fame forever, but instead, he chose presence, peace, and fatherhood. Richard Dean Anderson didn't just walk away from Hollywood, he walked toward life. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.